that time of week once more for Muji and Dan to give you the comic store. It's time to open up those bags and boards, fans. Welcome to Get Your Pulls.
Welcome to Get Your Pulls number 94. It's Mooch.
It's Dan.
And we're back. We missed a week. Really nothing to do anything particular. We just didn't record last week.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just started that new job, so you've been
less
apt to hang out during the week when we might randomly get a podcast knocked out. So,
I worked 32 hours last week, which was the most I'd worked in like a year.
No, as Muji readjusts to being back in the workforce, our frequency will resume, but...
Yeah, it's true. I'll tell you the thing about not working. You'd be surprised, but after a few weeks of not working at all, you find yourself just bored. And if you're like me, it becomes like almost even harder to like do things that are worthwhile.
That's called depression.
Yeah, well, not even that. Not even like, because I mean, I get depressed, but I didn't even go through any sort of like, life sucks, I hope I die depression. It was just almost like I don't take any sort of like, I've never taken any sort of drugs for depression, but I feel like that's the way that you would feel. Like I was just like, I'm going to start looking on the internet. Oh, it's been 5 hours. I'm going to watch ESPN. Oh, it's been 5 hours. So I'm going to go eat and go to bed. And then all of a sudden you look up and it's like 3 months later and you're like, no, it happened. 3 months have gone by. So when you don't work, maybe if you like are rich already, then it's great, but if you're broke and don't work, then it really does get bored. And now, like, that I'm working, I'm like, I've written more in the past 4 or 5 days than I did in, like, the last year. Because when you are working, you're very quickly reminded of, like, why you don't want to have a real job.
Well, and just that, too. Yeah, definitely. But, productivity begets productivity to a degree. If you can get yourself off your ass to do one thing, then sometimes that leads to doing another thing.
That's probably why so many of these people, get, like, obsessed with it, where they just add to the load, and the next thing you know, like, all these comic writers are like, I write for 14 hours a day, like, 6 days a week. Because then once you get into that mode, it's easier to stay in it. But yeah, I mean, it is. It's a combination of a reminder, and also you realize how much your other time is precious. Like, you get off work, and it's like, I could be in bed 6 hours. I better do something with these 6 hours, whereas without working, a lot of people will figure this stuff out when they're like 20, but what can you do? 10 years later, whatever. But, pretty good week. Also, a couple of news stories. You also find that a lot of things you consider news stories in comics don't seem important, since now that I'm working, I don't like read a news story online and sit and ponder it for like 3 hours. And then you're like, it really doesn't matter how long Rogue's going to be at Days of Futures Past. You don't have 5 hours to think about it. But I guess a couple big news for the week. I
think the biggest is the Marvel controversy.
Controversies coming. But I guess the big one, with Edgar Wright after... I think we talked about this.
We talked about that one. That's not the one I'm talking about.
It had just broke on the last pod that Edgar Wright was gone. And then they did get a new director, which just weirded me out. Because I know Ant-Man, they said it was going to be humorous, but I thought it was going to be like, it made sense with Edgar Wright. It was going to be like wacky humor, because he's really known like for making big sci-fi movies that are also funny.
They went and got a straight-up comedy director.
Who's not great. I'm going to say that... I'm going to say a girly movie he did I like, Bring It On, is his best movie. And that's a movie where if you don't like it or never watch it because you're like, whatever, you're missing out because it's pretty fucking funny. Like, if you like teen comedies at all, it's pretty funny. But since then, he did, like, Yes Man, which is real terrible, with Jim Carrey. And then he also did The Breakup with Jennifer Aniston, which is also really terrible. So, he's not even a really good one. It just really tells you, and I like Marvel movies a lot, but it really shows you, like, a guy with a vision that may not be, like, where you want to go. Like, they're really looking for, like, because Adam McKay had talks with him, and he was really nice about it and said he didn't think he was going to be able to make it work out. But a lot of people were saying once he got in the room and was like, so what do we do? And he found out, the ship is fucking sailing in one direction, and you can take it off course by like a degree, but you can't turn that motherfucker very much. Like, they're just wanting guys, like, work for hire guys that, the type of guys that you never see write their own movies. that seems to be like more what they're comfortable with, because that's what they said the fallout of me was, and it's, I mean, especially feel bad. I hope the movie's awesome. And Edgar Wright, I mean, he's not, I mean, he's good, but he's not like one of my very favorite directors. But you feel like they worked together for 7 years, and a year before, like, I mean, almost as close to The Wire as possible before they had to go into filming, they cut him for wanting to go in a different direction. That just like makes me a little bit scared for the future of their movies and just how stock they're going to be. Like, I saw Joss Whedon came out and supported Edgar Wright, even though, you know, he's big for Marvel. He came out and was like, yeah, he got fucked over. Like, I'm not happy about it. So, there's been a few people like that. But yeah, they announced the dude. They were going to get Adam McKay, which I was like, what? Who is, you know, just does all Will Ferrell's movies. Like, he's his writing partner and directs a bunch of stuff. You know, he obviously did Anchorman. Any movie with Will Ferrell where he's doing a sport, that's Adam McKay. He's a big producer. Him and Will Ferrell, who produced Eastbound and Down, and they also, you know, started whatchamacallit, the fucking funny comedy website Will Ferrell does.
Funny or Die.
Funny or Die, yeah. So I mean, he's a great funny guy, but that's just, and he's friends with Paul Rudd, so I think that might have been the connection they're looking for. But then yeah, they went with a dude who is just okay. Like, we'll see. I hope it's good, but.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Well, that's one controversy that certainly I was aware of, and we talked a little bit about last week. But the one I was really referring to, nothing official has actually come out on this one yet, but the internet has fucking exploded based on some bleeding cool information that has leaked that Disney CEO, or actually CEO of Marvel, Ike Perlmutter, who's a Disney employee.
If you've ever read the Marvel: The Untold Story, he's a real dick, but keep going.
There's a lots of word about him and what he likes to do, and apparently a lot of people in the Marvel camp are afraid of this. Rumor has it that to try and hurt the Fox movie, which makes absolutely no sense to me, but to try and hurt the Fox movie, they are actually, in the year 2015, they're doing away with the Fantastic Four. They're taking them out. They're canceling their books. They're taking the characters out of rotation. They are allegedly, if this is true, and it would be unprecedented because, of course, they've always said that the comics and the films are something totally separate. They are, in terms of storytelling. They are, certainly in terms of sales, because it should be the other fucking way around, and they still haven't figured that out. But it's like, okay, the movies ought to be commercials for the comics. The comics should not have to be commercials for the movies. If you're reading the comic, you're going to see the fucking movie.
Yeah, it's true. And they have a weird thing about it, too. Like, it doesn't translate. I mean, every once in a while, apparently things get a bump. Like they said, Avengers sold a little bit better. Iron Man, it's not even a top 50 selling comic, and he's the most popular single comic character on screen. It's almost the only things that really does help is when they announce a movie, it causes people to buy the comics in anticipation because they think they're going to be worth money. It causes scalpers to come in and people to start invest. Like, you know, they announced Guardians of the Galaxies. All of a sudden, all the old first appearances, like Rocket Raccoon, you could get for like $20 like 4 or 5 years ago. But once they rumored a Guardians movie, now his first appearance is hundreds of dollars. The Guardians of the Galaxy comics I bought just a shit ton of comics when I first got into it from this guy that was selling his whole collection. Got the Guardian set from 10 years ago. It was 27 comics. It got canceled because it wasn't selling.
Now, Axel Alonso, Marvel editor-in-chief, has come out stating that this is not true in so many words, though he never flat out denied it. He denied that was the reason that they might be shelved.
But you see all sorts of artwork from Marvel for their 75th anniversary. Fantastic Four, who is 100%, anyone who reads comics knows, they were the official relaunch of Marvel. They're their second superheroes. I mean, they had Cap and Namor and people in the 40s, but the Marvel generation, the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby generation, that's what made Marvel a player again.
The whole vibe and tone of Fantastic Four is what they built their universe off of.
They're the grandfathers of Marvel, and they're not on the poster at all for the 75th anniversary.
Nor is Spider-Man, nor is any X-Men. It's all Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man, the characters they own in films.
Yeah, so that's true.
Quite interesting.
And then also, there's been a couple people bleeding cool, although they're not 100% right, and they run rumors. Generally, when they have the source, they don't lie about having a source. They said they've had multiple sources that told them from Marvel trading cards, the way they outsource like their Marvel trading cards, like lots of times they have artists, draw the cards. Like a lot of artists who are up and coming actually make part of their living drawing, sketches for the cards as inserts. They said they were told flat out, no Fantastic Four characters. That includes Doctor Doom, the Silver Surfer, Galactus, anybody that's Skrulls, anything they don't own the rights to, they're not allowed.
I didn't know that they own the Skrulls. And that I should have known because Super Skrull was the first Skrull appearance in Fantastic Four.
Yeah, anything that, that's why they had to like kind of change them. Like they weren't really Skrulls and Avengers. They gave them a different name, even though they were Skrulls, kind of. That's what they've had to do. So they told them, they've had two people. They had somebody do a story and had another person call in and said they verified. Not allowed to do that. So it seems that way, and you say the difference as well, Spider-Man and X-Men, their books, well, they sell too well, like they're not going to lose money, but Fantastic Four also doesn't sell that great right now. It's, they have a lot of comics that sell around the same amount as them. They sell enough to where they're making money off of it, but they're not going to, Superior Spider-Man, they're not going to, that's $100,000 an issue, $90,000 book. They're making bank off that and all their X-Men books.
Actually, I'm sorry, retraction. Spider-Man was also on the poster, allegedly because they've signed a new deal with Sony where they get some of the rights back on Spider-Man and get to keep a cut of the merchandise. Sony still owns the majority share of Spider-Man, but apparently this opens up the door for them to work together in the future with the Spider-Man
Another crazy
property,
thing
possibly.
is Marvel, does their contracts with different toy companies and stuff. You can't find Days of Futures Past toys for that tie-in. Plenty for Spider-Man, plenty for like all the other movies, but that's a new thing. We'll see when Fantastic Four comes out if you can find any Fantastic Four toys. But Days of Futures Past, which is a hugely popular movie, which you think would definitely be able to sell some toys. You go in there
selling merchandise like hotcakes right now.
There's nothing. So it does seem fishy, and it also, to me, man, it also just seems a little bush in the fact that, like, I understand they want those properties back. Like, that's probably their idea, is like, we would like to eventually get these back so we can make money off of them, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, it's not like they have movies coming out that go right up against these movies. So hurting them I don't see how it really helps them, other than possibly down the line giving the rights back. But also, what do you do to the characters? If you hurt...
I did hear one other complaint, not to cut you off there, but I did hear one other complaint from Marvel's end as to why they were doing it, allegedly, is that any new characters they create under the guise of the Fantastic Four or X-Men automatically get film rights to Fox.
Yeah, I knew that.
So it's like they don't have incentive to create new characters.
They also have weird rights though with like Spider-Man, with X-Men too. I don't know about Fantastic Four, but I know with both of them, they make the cartoons, so it's just they don't have the movies. They could put them in cartoons. A bunch of people have said that they think that they could do an X-Men TV show possibly. They just they said they don't really know, like it's kind of blurry, the live action rights. So they really wanted to undercut if they did a Fantastic Four Netflix series or something, if that's possible. I don't know if it is. But yeah, man, it just seems like, kind of a sleazy move. It's just another one of these things where I've liked the movies, but it's another one of those things where it doesn't surprise you now that Marvel's just kind of a cog in the machine that is Disney, that A, they're going to do these types of things, and B, that the comics, which have always supposedly been important and they're supposed to be separate, like this is interfering in the comics. And like you said, you're 100% right. The people that read the comics are going to see the movies. Like, you have those people. So, that's also another thing where it almost seems like for fanboys, you cut the comics off. They may go out to see Fantastic Four just to prove a point, just to say, fuck off. Like, what are you doing fucking with my comics, just to...
Yeah, and allegedly now, and here's another thing, on the pro end of things, like the people that are for this, now Marvel's allegedly going to come out with this explanation that, well, it's not, has anything to do with the movie, but this book's always sold low for what we project it to be, so we're going to take them away in hopes that you miss them and bring them back and their sales go up.
Okay, well, cancel Iron Man. It sells about the same.
Right, exactly.
Show me that that's your thing.
That's allegedly how they're going to try to spin it, and I don't know that people are going to buy it.
I love Hawkeye, but cancel it. It sells around the same as that. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. It's a bummer. Like I said, I don't particularly like what I've heard about the Fantastic Four movie so far, though we'll see. The guy that wrote Days of Futures Past wrote the script for it, so maybe it'll be good. Like, the douchiness of everyone involved so far that have talked about it, has made me mad. But maybe they just don't know. They also, you might watch Fantastic Four and be like, oh, you guys are in the costumes. Like, this is totally a superhero movie. You're just too big of a douche to understand. Like, oh, you were just educated on the fact that superhero movies actually do have deep characters. Like, you thought you were doing something crazy when they've had deep characters for like 10 years now. Have you seen Batman Begins? You didn't know. Have you seen The Dark Knight? Oh, you didn't know. Oh, somebody already played a superhero and won an Oscar. You're late to the party. You can't be the first one, asshole. So maybe it's completely a superhero movie, and some of these assholes just don't like superhero movies, so don't get it. Maybe their idea is like watching fucking, Batman from '66, or watching a goddamn, TV Spider-Man series, or the Hulk on TV. Oh, that's what superhero movies are. But anyways. Like, this type of stuff makes me, like, hope that movie does good. Like, that's my attitude on it. It's like, that's just being really fucking petty.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not really giving them free advertisement, because, like I said, it doesn't translate. But, anyways. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Also, people saying Perlmutter is an employee of the board. He is not... He's not...
He still owns a bunch of stock, but he doesn't have, like, the power to 100% do anything.
He's not ironclad, so, and he's dealt with Disney shit before, but a lot of that shit is mostly internal and goes hush-hush. Yeah. Of course, in the comic book world, they've got moles everywhere, and the internet shit is just outrageous. So, there could be a giant backlash, and people are already saying that this could be something that gets him in trouble with the Disney board, and maybe even cost him his job if it really gets nasty. Who knows? I mean, all of this is just speculation at this point, but still, with that much info coming down the pike, I think it's something that fans ought to be a little concerned about.
Yeah. And then the other news they announced, Doctor Strange, you're going the director of Sinister, whose name escapes me. That's a movie I enjoyed. The story wasn't awesome in it, and he also wrote Sinister, and apparently he gets the first shot at writing Doctor Strange, although if you base on all of their Marvel movies, like, they'll bring in 80 people. Like, none of these things end up having one writer.
Oh, no.
And generally the first writer, they're like, okay, we didn't like it, so we're bringing in somebody else. Like, they've got an idea for what they want, and so, like I said, you can't put that much of a personal touch, at least on the script. But Sinister looked awesome. It looked great, and so, I mean, you think visual-wise, like, for Doctor Strange, that gets you excited, because it was another thing.
Sinister was definitely a different horror movie. It wasn't the best script-wise, but, like, it had some truly disturbing moments. We reviewed it way back when on the Night Black Mass.
Yeah, we liked it, and the things that were in it were scary. It was just a classic. It got muddled. Like, they had to figure out how they were going to finish it, and as those movies, like, the last 20 minutes, you're like, nah.
They tried to over-explain it at the end.
Great,
that's the cliche horror tracking is to over-explain your plot at the end.
Yeah, exactly. You never need that moment where somebody comes in and does 3 minutes to, like, tell you what's happened in the movie, where, like, if the movie was good, then we just know. But Sinister was kind of that. But it looked great. So that's, that gives you pumped up. And that's really been...
Crazy short list of actors that they're scouting to play Doctor Strange. Jared Leto, Benedict Cumberbatch.
I heard that. I heard Benedict Cumberbatch.
And
I think he's great, but I would like for him to stay away from movies like this for a minute. Sometimes those guys get oversaturated. I mean, he's literally in every franchise.
Yeah.
He's in fucking The Hobbit. He was in fucking Star Trek. Luckily, they didn't put him off the bat in Star Wars, because they were announced right off the bat he may be the star of that, too. And I was just like, he's awesome, man, but you got to give him, like, a rest on some of these things. But, I mean, that's also in, like, 3 years, so, I mean, that probably would be big enough of a rest.
I mean, Jared Leto would be a huge land for them to get an Academy Award winner. I mean,
he would be cool, yeah. He would also be a guy, I can't wait to hear his speeches on how he's changing the fucking landscape of superhero movies by playing Doctor Strange, because he would definitely be in that camp.
Funny is, Johnny Depp was the original choice, of course.
It's just been too many years, probably.
Years ago,
yeah.
When they asked him. He talked about it, but apparently they couldn't reach a deal, is what came out of the camp eventually.
Yeah, there's a lot of these movies take so long to get made that a lot of these guys also age themselves, like, out. Like, when you first announce we're going to do this, and you announce the thing, it's like, sounds perfect, and then you get to making the movie fucking 10 years later, and you're like, well... It's like, Johnny Depp movies haven't been doing all that great.
Very excited for a Doctor Strange movie, and if it's a financial success, then, Marvel's golden. Like, they pretty much have... Because, like, I don't know, that's going to be maybe even more than Ant-Man, their most difficult one to make money. Because Doctor Strange isn't he's never been able to carry his own title.
Yeah.
How's he going to be able to carry his own movie?
Like, I mean, Ant-Man's the other guy. I mean, he doesn't have a book now.
Right, that's true.
And,
that's very true.
He's a guy. I mean, even the Guardians, I mean, now that the movies come out, they're popular, but they never could either. So, Yeah, I mean, I think it's just going to be how much heat Marvel has in, because Guardians is something that 2 years ago everybody's like, that's going to be the test, and now pretty much after everybody's seen a preview, everybody just agrees. There's no way it's not going to at least make money. Is it going to be a huge blockbuster? We'll find out, but it's going to make plenty of money. Like everybody agrees, and I mean, I think Ant-Man might be the next test. We'll have to see how it looks. It's definitely going to be odd, but of course, I mean, it seems like maybe it won't be as odd. I mean, if you hear why the fights were happening, these movies may not be as different as like you thought. So it may actually make them more, you know,
more palatable to the masses.
Less of a risk, but less of also a chance that we may get like another Cap or another X-Men. There's one of the things I like about other people on the properties. I mean, you get the yin and the yang. You get Sony, who doesn't seem to know how to make Spider-Man movies great anymore. But then you have X-Men, who are like, there's no way they would be getting this much attention to detail if they were in Marvel. And they're different movies. Like, these X-Men movies do not fit the feel of like the regular Marvel series movies.
Much more serious tone.
Yeah,
like,
and
this is different.
And it's the way they need to be done, and it's great. So, but yeah, exciting stuff on all that. Ain't really big comic book news or anything like other than the movies. Kind of tie in Star Wars. Apparently, the Godzilla guy gets the second Star Wars tie-in. I think right now the way it seems is that J.J. Abrams, if things go well, is probably going to do the trilogy. I think that's the plan.
I saw your boy Josh Trank got one of the one of the spinoffs.
Yeah, I don't like Josh Trank very well. We'll see. I mean, he's getting Fantastic Four. We'll see if it's any good. Next. I mean, I didn't love Chronicle. I mean, I thought it was like a good idea, but I just didn't think it was very good. A lot of people really love it, and a lot of people hate it. It's one of those you feel one way or the other. I mean, I was actually in the middle. I thought it was okay, but like I didn't understand the people that were like, he changed the genre, and it's like, no, he just did a fucking found footage film about superheroes. He was just, it wasn't even the first one, but he just did it, and it made some money. So, and he did a really good job at casting his actors, or at least people thought. I mean, fucking the guy who was the terrible Harry Osborn was in Chronicle. It was him, Michael B. Jordan, and then the kid that's going to play Reed Richards in the new Fantastic Four. So they all got actual superhero roles out of Chronicle. But yeah, he's got one. He's got the first one, and then what's his name? I can't remember his name. The guy who did Godzilla, though, it's got the second one. So Abrams supposedly has a trilogy, and then those three movies, the rumors are one of them's going to be about Boba Fett, which who the fuck knows like what that's going to be, but that's the rumor. The rumors one's about Yoda.
One's about Han Solo.
One's about young Han Solo. And I think young Han Solo is the one they're rumoring Josh Trank for. I think that's the first spinoff. And then I think they're thinking the other guy's going to be doing Boba Fett, so we'll see. But they're starting to crank out the names, like, the rumors and the thing. It's looking official. There's going to be a fucking Star Wars movie every year. So for better or for worse, they're going to get plenty of shots at making some new good stuff. But,
excellent.
Yeah. Yes, we got a bunch of books.
You got a bunch of books. No real back to the long books. You talked about it last time we were here, but I just finally finished Volume 2 of Fear Agent, and just have to say that was like probably one of the best comics I ever read. Like, ever. I mean, it just really touched me on a fucking very deep, it spoke, like,
it's
not
really
all
great.
comics really reach you on that level. Some of it's just good, clean, superficial fun. Some of it's, satiates your quench for violence, and some of it is good old-fashioned storytelling. But Fear Agent was just something different altogether. Like, Rick Remender really bared his soul. Tony Moore just fucking killed it on the art. I believe, Jerome Pena and Assad Ribic did some backup art on that.
Yeah, they did some stuff here and there in it, but
it's just fucking amazing. Like, sci-fi story is what it's about. I'd say if you don't even like sci-fi and you just like action comics, you need to fucking check it out.
Yeah, I mean it's Remender at his very best for sure. It's like the things that you get like pieces of in the Marvel books, like you get like fully in there where he's able to go, 100%. Like it is like, one of the most, like, probably the most personal story, that you get from Remender. It is really great. Yeah, I'm glad that it looks like it's gotten a new life with its popularity at Marvel. I mean, I think it, it did decent back when it was out, but now with its popularity at Marvel, they're selling these Fear Agent library editions like crazy, and I think so much that they started reprinting the paperback. So you can either do the way I did, which also props to, I IDW, is it IDW?
Dark Horse.
Dark Horse, yeah.
Fear Agent.
Dark Horse makes these library editions of books. I guess they do Hellboy. They've done a couple other things. These Fear Agent, like they look beautiful. They look beautiful on the shelf. They're really well done. They're well put together. They're oversized, so you really get great looks at the art. And they all have like a bunch of really great extras in the back. So, and it's actually cost effective. The best way to get them too. If you go on cheap graphic novels or get most of my stuff. I believe it's $32.50 a piece for each of them. I think they're normally like $50. So I mean, you can get the whole run for $65.
Yeah, and I mean it's a story. Great. It's 2 giant volumes. It's got a beginning. It's got a middle. It's got several middles, and it's got an end, and it fucking ends, and it's like it's one of the most satisfying conclusions to a book you can ever possibly hope for. Like
it's great.
It was just so fucking good, dude. I could talk about that book for hours.
Yeah, it's tremendous. Maybe we'll do in the future a special Fear Agent edition where we.
I gotta try to reach out to Remender and see. I know he's probably not doing many podcasts these days, but it'd be nice to get him on the show to talk about it directly.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Get Jason Aaron to put in a good word for me.
Yeah, it's incredibly good. I'm really looking forward. I told you I ordered a couple other Remender indie books before he hit it big time. I got Strange Girl, which has an amazingly good premise, so I'm pumped up for it. It's not as big. I think it's like 18 issues, so it's just one little collected. I think the same deal. I think it was also from Dark Horse in the Library. I don't know. It's one omnibus. It might be from Image. I'm not sure. But then also all of Remender's horror things that he's written, like different stories collected into one thing called Crawl Space, working with most of the same guys he works with. I think there's a more in there. I think Opinia draws something in there too. So the artists who like him with a bunch of different horror things all in one volume. So yeah, he does great. He's one of the guys that he does superhero books so great. But anytime he's takes less time to do his own thing, is you can't blame him because they're so good. And glad that now, because I've read about how he struggled for years and years, just getting shots here and there, and writing his own books and almost paying for his own books, where it wasn't really making him a living. I'm glad that now his Image books all sell so great, and he's reaping the benefits of doing all this great work. And like I said, hopefully other people will find these things now that he's an A-list writer. But we'll go to the books. We got 2 weeks worth of books. I'll fly through a few. I'm gonna start with Marvel and Moon Knight #4. It was really good again. Sad news. There's only 6 going to be with the team of Ellis and Declan Shalvey and Jordi Belair, who BT Dub. I would be pretty happy if Jordi Belair just colored all comics. Go ahead and say that. But it's really great. They're doing 6. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling, how the Walt's feeling.
Who's taking over?
I'll give the next team a shot. It's not anybody that was I was super pumped about. I think the artist, a bunch of people were like, hey, that guy's good, so give him a chance. So we'll see. But I've really loved it so far, and this issue was probably the best one. It gets even weirder. So
awesome.
Yeah, really liked it.
It's been quite a strange book. As far as me, I had a lot of Marvel over the last 2 weeks. We'll start with Winter Soldier, The Bitter March, part 4 of 5. This is a miniseries that is tied into the current Cap continuity, though it takes place during the World War II days. The Winter Soldier is the villain, but Hydra's involved, and there's Nick Fury and his partner, Ran Shin, who turns out later to be the Iron Nail. It's really his journey in his battle with the Winter Soldier. Actually see Bucky get his memories back based on the power of a villain for the first time here. Now, I'm assuming, of course, he's going to end up back in stasis, and they're going to have to wipe him again, but you actually find out that for a time, shortly after Cap had died, actually back in the 50s, it wasn't in the 40s, but it was in the 50s, that he got his memories back and learned who he was thanks to a Hydra agent's twisted powers, and he had a little brief babyface turn, so that was very good. You already read that one, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
Back. Okay, cool. What did you think about that one? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was good. It's been a good series. Like I said, I like how it ties into regular Cap really well too. You get some good backup on some of the things going on there.
I don't know if you're caught up on Cap, but
yeah, I'm a little behind on it.
The most current arc just ended with this next issue, Captain America #21, The Iron Nail Part 5. Pretty crazy finish. I don't really want to spoil it in case you're going to read it, because the last issue was entitled Super Soldier No More. A lot of people were like, there's no fucking way they're going to kill Captain America after having killed him a few years ago to such fanfare. And they don't. Yeah. Spoiler alert. But some pretty fucked up still happens. So
Nice.
it's a pretty crazy end of the arc, and Remender's still kicking ass on Captain America. Had Guardians of the Galaxy number 15. Story continues to be awesome. This is just following the Guardians in their recent split up, where the Star-Lord Peter Quill has been taken captive by his father finally, and pretty much each of the Guardians are being held captive by their worst enemies, and so they're trying to figure out how to get out. Now, but the interesting thing is the cover says, "And now, Miss Marvel."
Not in it.
Now, we've certainly had issues with like DC books where they'd put somebody on the cover and they'd appear on the last panel.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty shitty in and of itself, but not that...
It makes you buy two to see what the story is.
Right.
Instead of buying the one comic, yeah.
Miss Marvel was not the reason I bought this. It's on my regular pull list, but certainly if I had as a Miss Marvel enthusiast and had to collect everything with her in it, I'd have been pissed off because she doesn't make one appearance in the book. Like, that's a real major fuck up between their editorial and their fucking cover art people. Like,
it's nice. It's nice work.
Isn't mentioned. Doesn't make one appearance, like, at all.
Yeah, that's work.
So, I mean, like, they're fighting with some of them are fighting with the Kree and shit, so it's like,
she's gonna show up.
It's probable that she could show up, but I think they might have jumped the gun on that one.
Nice.
Then we had Uncanny Avengers number 20. This is the next to last in this big arc, and this is the next to last story of the... Well, it probably is going to be the last story of them in the alternate future, but we're going to find out what happens in the next issue.
Nice.
Because at the end, you read it, at the end, we found that they put their plan into motion, their last-ditch effort that was going to try to revert things to the way back they were, and Kang came back
where everybody's not killed as shit.
Whipped his daughter's ass, and it was a pretty awesome issue, so pretty excited to see that they set the world right in the next one. That's what everybody's hoping.
Yeah.
But you never know when Rick Remender's involved. Amazing X-Men. This was a pleasant surprise. This book actually was on the chopping block because it did what they did with Moon Knight. It was a Jason Aaron launch. Oh, great, a new Jason Aaron X-Men book.
And it with Nova, they've been doing that lately.
That's shady, man.
It is.
Because it's like, you're not... Unwitting people like us will just keep it going, and then the quality of the book might drop, and they don't know why.
Yeah, we're at least smart to it. I've quickly in my just couple years of getting, weekly pulls, is like I go and scout out who's taking over the book and make sure, like, I do not care for a second to drop something if I'm not pumped about the new writer or new artist.
No, not at all. But so this one, a team that I've been a fan of, the Craig Kyle and Chris Yost, who wrote the original Uncanny X-Force that predated the Rick Remender Uncanny X-Force. It was when Wolverine first got the Black Ops team together, and pretty much all the stories that he wrote are the stuff Remender was like talking about in the past in it.
Yeah.
It was the run directly before him on X-Force.
Yeah, I don't think he did for long. I think there's like one big like hardcover that has like I think most of what he wrote, or at least with the team the way that it was.
Kyle and Yost,
because a lot of people that like sell like all those like hardcovers together online put like one big like thick hardcover of their work to go along with it, I guess, to get you the part of the story you need.
A lot of it is them fighting with the Purifiers, and I also remember like it's got a bunch of characters that didn't transition over onto the Remender team,
right,
like Wolfsbane and
I know Wolverine and Psylocke were on the team, right?
Yes. Oh yeah. I mean, it's still like the black outfits, the whole. So that's where all that came from.
Yeah.
But it was just some different characters. Remender spice up the team a bit. But so it was. I like the run on that. I was excited to see if this was going to be any good, but still, it was on the chopping block because they changed teams on me 6 issues in, or 8 issues in, and it was awesome. There's a plague of Wendigo disease infecting Canada, and they really write the school characters. They go back to the school in this one, and all your favorites from the Jason Aaron run pop up, and he really writes those characters very well. And so I really enjoyed it, and it's going to stay on the pull list.
Nice.
And then Deadpool number 29, Original Sin. We find this is the Original Sin tie-ins are not anything bad, actually. Like you see this, and I'm probably sure everybody cringed because they know that Original Sin is the big event going on in Marvel right now. This tied right into the current Deadpool story. It's just more, you really get more info about what happened to his wife and his daughter and shit. Like, and it's been some of the more somber parts of this Deadpool, which they really don't normally go to with that character, but it's really worked. So, kudos to Dugan and Poussin.
Nice. And then I guess we'll get over into the
creator-owned
books, as we determined to call them. Yes, as it's hard to call a book that sells 40,000 copies by Jason Aaron, an indie book. But start real quick with The Wake is back. The Wake number 9, a word that only people in comics use, the penultimate chapter to The Wake. And it's pretty great. It's as good as it's been. They finally, the search that's been going the whole time, they finally find where the signal is coming from if you've been keeping up, reading the book. And then, I won't spoil what happens, but it's kind of where the story's been going all along. So, great issue. And I think the other one actually comes out in like 2 weeks, maybe. It comes out before the month's over with, so we'll get the end of that. It's shaping up to be another great Snyder story. Another one that I'll probably have to recollect the fucking hardcover of, so they'll get me for another $12, those dicks.
Yeah, the artwork is just so fucking good in The Wake.
It is great. Sean Murphy's artwork is great. And it's maybe, even though the book got reviewed enough, I just thought the book Punk Rock Jesus just seemed so stupid that I didn't want it. But now I'll probably eventually have to get it because he wrote and drew it. I'm like, yeah, I bet it'll actually be cool.
Yeah.
It just sounded dumb. Over to another book, first issue.
Oh, Kyle Higgins.
Cal, the Chicago Organized Workers League.
That was
Nice way to fit that in.
Have you ever heard the Fat Man on Batman interview with former Nightwing writer Kyle Higgins? He'd often talked that essentially what got him into comics in the first place was his directing work on independent films, and he made a small film called
It's called the
League.
Yeah.
And this is kind of his comic interpretation of
Yeah,
that.
it's essentially the tie-in. I think some of the characters look the same, or maybe even a couple have the same names, but they don't all. But this is its transition to comics. It's funny because when people are like talking about like the book, on like Twitter, he's like, it was inspired by the League. It's just funny. It was inspired by something he did.
Yeah.
It was inspired by something I did a couple of years ago. Something else I wrote. But it's great, man. Rod Reese, who did a few issues of Nightwing with Kyle Higgins, it did really good.
His artwork looks phenomenal.
Yeah, his art in this book really sets the tone, man. It looks great. This is set in Chicago, and it's really awesome. It's I guess it's nothing like Watchmen, but you immediately think it's set in Chicago in the '60s, and it's a superhero team, that has like a history. So you immediately in your head, like Watchmen's the only thing that's kind of like it that's ever come out. But it's a lot different. It's about this team that come together that basically the city has sanctioned, to be able to fight the crime and everything. And there's a few people that are young on, a few people that have been around on the team for a really long time. You get to learn the first issue what some of their superpowers are, and just a few different things. But it's it was really great. And like I said, the story is interesting enough, and the artwork by Rod Reese is just fantastic. Like it immediately has its own look, its own feel, and makes it different from a lot of other books. So that is tremendous. This will jump over real quick. Southern Bastards Deuce.
Oh man, this book. I mean, we probably couldn't suck this book's dick anymore, but
that's true. My copy was in mint condition, and now it looks like it's growing a dick because it just knows it could get sucked.
I mean, it's but this issue, like the first issue, was fantastic. Set the tone for kind of like the world and the surroundings and the county and like how everything goes here. This, I think, set the tone for the actual book moving forward. Like,
it's even
what
better,
you can expect.
Because you get to meet the coach,
who's like so based off of like Bear Bryant and John Voight in Varsity Blues.
He's
like,
just the
so
classic
great.
dickhead Southern high school coach, from movies and life, and it's it's fantastic. It's just a book. It's another one of these books from fucking Image, where they really do. They just let the most talented creators just be like, do whatever you want, and more times than not, you get really great stuff like this.
And of course, the big Walking Tall ending there.
This
is pretty fun.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Over the course of the book, it's really cool, and it's really different too, because your main character, your protagonist in this, is an old guy. Like, it's not like most of these books, like where you get people usually in their 20s, early 30s, kind of the prime of your life, and prime of your life looking. You got a dude who's like in his 60s.
Yeah, gotta be.
who's going to be the star of the book here. So it's really different, but yeah, it's really badass. Like the main guy is like a Clint Eastwood-esque character, and the art in it by Jason Latour is fantastic. And like I said, man, it's somebody from the South who for years has kind of dealt with quirky interpretations of like what people from the South actually sound like. Jason Aaron being from the South, and Latour hit it like right on the head. It's fantastic. And
Yeah.
speaking of other great new Image books, man, Nailbiter #2, even better than the first one. This issue was tremendous. You kind of got the basic backstory in the first one. There's a town where more serial killers have come from per person than the other place in the world, and a guy went to investigate. He went missing, so his buddy came looking for him. That's the basic premise. The serial killer part is what makes it different. My friend came investigating a crime and nobody can find him, so now I got to come make it right. A lot of that out there, but the good twist on it is the serial killers. But in this issue, it's great. Most of it is the conversation with a known serial killer who got off on a technicality, and they're basically just questioning him for most of the issue. Trying to figure out if like he's the reason that things have started happening again in the town. And you also get pictures and little brief descriptions of some of the other serial killers that have been in the town before, and their gimmicks. They all have cool names and stuff, and just really good, man. As a combination vibe of there are some parts in the book that are like legitimately creepy, and there's other parts where you can tell that Joshua Williamson, who also writes the book Ghosted, which I've heard is like, man, just
people love that.
Yeah, people like it. They say it's it's like, I think when it first came out, they were saying it's like Ocean's 11 and a haunted house or something. I don't know what's still going on with the book, but I think that's the one. But people have liked it. You can tell that.
I always just thought it was about getting teabagged by ghosts.
I mean, if you were a ghost, it was possible to teabag people. It would be hard to fight that temptation.
And then they go, ghosted, and high five the other ghost, and then they go away.
That would have been a great idea. I don't know how long the comic would have been. That would have been a great one shot. And you don't find out until you die that you got teabagged, so it's like it's a real bummer because it's like you're drowning and you're like, oh shit, I'm about to drown, that's a terrible way to go. And then you drown, you actually die, and the first thing that happens, like once you open your eyes back up, is like some guy being like, hey, you're that dude, you got ghosted. What? It's like, oh, there's pictures all over the ghost internet of you being teabagged. Like, anybody dead saw it, so it's just like a double slap in the face. But yeah, it's good. You can tell he's got a great handle on horror. You can tell he must be a big horror fan. Like, it's got elements, like it's got creepy stuff, but then it's got also, almost like elements of Scream, where, he's kind of deconstructing some of the like villains in the book and stuff, as to. It's just good.
Horror comics are a surprisingly small genre, especially when it comes to quality. I mean, but even with the shitty ones, the genre is not that big.
They're getting bigger, but yeah, it is small. I mean, in 2 years of reading comics, all I've really done, I've read 30 Days a Night. I saw the movie and liked it. That's one that I'll eventually pick up. It's just hard to find like a good collection of all of it. Mm-hmm. They're going to put out like a big omnibus of it. They got canceled for some reason. So, but yeah, over the past like few years, if you look back and try to get recommendations for horror, they're just so small. Severed by Scott Snyder is great.
American Vampire.
American Vampire is great.
Scott Snyder has provided 3/4 of the good horror.
Yeah, and like I've heard a couple of things. Colder is supposed to be decent. I haven't read that yet, but
I've never read Hack Slash, but people like it.
Yeah, it's good. And Seeley, he hasn't written it in a while. I don't think. I think if it kept going, somebody else took it over. And I heard it's a relaunch, and I don't know who's going to write it. But yeah, there's just a lot. If you think about if you don't count, if you go all the way back to, obviously there was lots of horror back in the 60s and stuff, but since then, in the last 30 years, like not a lot of classic like horror books. So yeah, not all on the shelf now, but it's coming. We got Snyder coming with Witches, Kirkman coming with Outcast, so we're gonna have a Witch and Exorcist book. So it seems like it's getting a new life in comics, which is nice to see. But really recommend Nailbiter, another Image book. Really am like, if you're on like a budget, and you were like, I can only spend, $10 a week on comics, all my books are Image comics, like I wouldn't call you dumb, because there's just a lot of good stuff. But then over to DC, we got some books. Nightwing #30, the final Nightwing book. You read this one yet?
No.
I think so. Didn't get a delivery. Tim Seeley taking over. writing this one. It's the bridge between Nightwing and Grayson. I thought it was decent. We'll see how it goes. It was in the book. There was some stuff that was kind of like, I guess you throw down the idea of like this is what we're doing with Dick Grayson. Like he's going to be, the fucking, he's gonna be the Robin soldier. Basically, if you've read Forever Evil, spoilers if you haven't, but at the end of it, they act like Nightwing's dead. So nobody really knows, but a couple people in the room. I believe Bruce knows that he's still alive. Lex Luthor knows he's still alive. Alfred knows. And I'm not sure anybody past that knows that Nightwing didn't die. So in this book, basically what you get is Bruce convincing Dick. Dick doesn't want to do it because, Dick is not an actual dickhead. He's, that's the way he's different from a lot of the other Robins and stuff, is he's a pretty happy-go-lucky guy. He doesn't want his friends he's made in Chicago or other people to think he's dead and to suffer. But Bruce is like, you have to. We got a really important mission. I've already talked it over. Like, we need you to do this. So, and then they have a big fist fight that's kind of funny where they keep punching each other over and over. And it's like, nah, I don't know. It's not, like I said, I didn't hate the book, but it just seemed like they were like, we got to shove into 20 pages, like why he's going to go undercover, and this is how we're going to do it. And it showed a few pages of him going on different missions in different places. And apparently now, at least by the end of the book, you find out at least somebody's called on, and somebody's going to come after him, and that's kind of what the book looks like it's going to be. So, I have all the faith in the world of Tim Seeley that he's going to write a great book. Like I said, this issue is just kind of okay, but still pumped up for it.
Awesome. I had Secret Origins #2. This was delayed. It's a secret.
Yes.
$4.99. Not something that you're real happy with, but a thick book, and has 3 stories.
Yeah, at least get you. Well, there's 48 pages, right?
Yeah.
So, you're getting double the comic for $5 at least. So.
This has the official Batman New 52 origin, so historic in that significance.
Nice.
Pretty much the same as the old origin, with a couple of new twists and a new narrative that goes over it. So they just officially streamlined what is continuity, I guess, in the DC.
Yeah.
New
Something
52
that
year.
beloved. You don't want to reinvent the wheel,
No.
but it's okay if you put 20s on it.
You're right, exactly, exactly, and that was fantastic. And then what was almost just as good, or maybe even better a little bit, was Jeff Parker's Aquaman origin story, which was just amazing in this.
Nice.
And there's also Starfire, which is pretty good. But man, the Batman and Aquaman are just knock your socks off good.
Yeah, I got to get back into, at some point, catch up on Aquaman, because it seems like Jeff Parker, did one of those, I don't know if it's selling quite as well, but one of the near impossibles where you're scared to death. You're like, oh no, Jeff Johns, he made the book you wanted to read again, and he's come in and, kept it just as good, and I've heard a lot of people even like it more better, so.
Oh, we'll get to that because we have a full issue of Jeff Parker's Aquaman coming up.
Nice. But I also heard that Charles Soule, I gotta at some point start getting, I think the first Swamp Thing trade paperback of Soule doing it came out. Because I've also heard from a lot of people on that, Snyder left, and, a lot of people, of course, okay. And then I've heard that Charles Soule's, run on it may even be better, so we'll have to start checking. That was before, you had that book, you dropped it, that was before Charles Soule was Charles Soule.
Yeah, nobody
that was before
knew.
he was the man that could,
new guy.
That was before he was the man that could write 9 good books at once.
Then I guess while we're, well, no, you go ahead with your next one. You had Green Arrow.
Got Green Arrow, #32. It's good. It's coming out of the Outsiders War. We get to see what the next chapter of it is. It was cool. It's basically Oliver getting back to a city and finding out, why he's been gone. He's been gone a while, so, things have been kind of fucked up. And, there's a new gang in town that takes Diggle hostage. And then, they've got to deal with it. So already, a new threat for Oliver. Lemire Andres Sorrentino, man, Green Arrow, talking about saving a book that everybody hated and couldn't sell. They've turned it into a really great book that I'm really pumped for every month.
Hell yeah. I've really enjoyed it. I love the art, too. I mean, Lemire's been great, but Sorrentino's touch on that really puts it over the edge.
Absolutely. It's one of those books that, you just know. He's one of those artists that there's a handful of these, but you see something drawn by him, you're like, you know exactly who it is. So it's a fantastic book.
Yeah, absolutely. And staying with the New 52, had The Flash #31. Robert Venditti is really starting to hit his stride in this book, and it's really been quite enjoyable with this new storyline and the introduction of Wally West, amongst other things. So Definitely want to check that out. And also Aquaman number 31 by Jeff Parker, just mentioned a moment ago. Great issue of the Aquaman meeting Swamp Thing for the first time, and the fight that they have as a result, and the dialogue is just fantastic. Because Aquaman's like, die you foul beast, and Swamp Thing's like, dude, I'm the fucking avatar of plant life, you can't kill me, you can fucking try, and then I'm just going to go into that tree over there and shit.
Yeah.
Aquaman feeds him to a crocodile, and he just appears on the ground over there, because he's the fucking avatar of the green, you can't kill him.
That's great. Yeah, I love unlikely crossovers, and I think the next issue, Swamp Thing, also has Aquaman in it. So that's the thing. Like, I don't like my books constantly crossing over, but I like guests. This is basically a guest
good
star.
It's not it's good
contained,
if you get
yeah.
both books, but like this was just a guest appearance in Aquaman. The whole rest of the story was driving towards what Aquaman's been doing. It was just in the midst.
I hate
Thing.
constant crossovers, but a good guest starring appearance is always welcome, especially one that's so fucking random where you're like, oh, this is what Swamp Thing's in Aquaman. Like, great. Yeah, and then I guess we'll get over before we get into the Bat books. Action Comics, Superman Doomed. It's Enemy of the State, Chapter 1. I think there's this month, Superman Wonder Woman. And then I want to say there's just Superman Doomed Part 2. The close. I think that's all that's left, I believe.
It's been a pretty badass. Like, a lot of people were concerned about this, but I think they've alleviated concern so far.
I've liked it a lot. Now, DC fucked up. Superman 31 was a tie-in to Superman Doom. They didn't put it on the cover, so that's an editorial fuck up. Definitely. Really, though, another one where I guess you didn't have to read it because, you could just figure it out. In this issue now, Superman they have taken captive. So, they've got him, tied up. So you basically just find out that in the last issue, because at the end of, I guess, Superman and Wonder Woman, the last one we had, he was talking, he was in his apartment talking to Lois. And then this issue, you find out the talk with Lois didn't go great, that the Doomsday virus kind of took over a little bit. So now they were trying to keep it contained. And this issue is really good. It's really great. Like I said, the whole issue, the whole story is more about Clark and him fighting to, stay Clark and to stay Superman and stay true to himself, and not so much about Doomsday. So it's been great, yeah. And so we get another, actually this Wednesday we'll be getting Superman and Wonder Woman comes out, so with the next part of it, so that's great.
Outstanding. And a double shot of Batman Eternal that's still delivering the goods 9 issues in. It's one of the best books on the shelves right now.
Great move by DC.
It's just
so which we want to 52. Good. This was a great idea, and they've definitely executed.
And it is like reading a television show. I hope Gotham is if Gotham is a tenth as interesting as this book, it's going to be great.
Yeah, I haven't read the latest one, but the one from the week before they read. Yeah, it's every week. They've got it's like a season of a show. There's an overarching story. So obviously, haven't read it. Kind of spoilers is, Jim Gordon has been set up. Obviously, if you're older than 3, you can see that. He's been set up, and he's gone to jail for killing some people, which he didn't kill, and and it's all set up by Carmine Falcone, who's now hanging out in the New 52, and he's got his own police force.
Oh, he's got all of Gotham's cops in his pocket, and
most of them.
They've gotten rid of Gordon and put fucking Corrigan in the fucking head detective spot. It's
Gordon's out of the way. They've got there's one Jason Bard. He's a young cop that's a good cop, like a young Gordon. Yeah. So you find out he's going to kind of be an ally of Batman. He helps him out, but of course they did the normal, made Batman an enemy of Gotham. Have now got a lockdown, Big Brother style, where they've put in a curfew for people and all sorts of things, and it's great. That's the overarching story in the background, but then there's a bunch of characters that you get to see issue to issue, like how it's affecting them. Like, you've seen a lot with Batman. You got to see what was going on with Red Robin in an issue. You get to see what's going on with Stephanie Brown, who's newly introduced, and then what was exciting, this issue I read, and now Batman's figured out, Falcone has been gone this whole time, but he wasn't just sitting on his ass. He was taking over the crime in Hong Kong. So, in the issue that I read, Batman went to Hong Kong to see what had been happening, and then you see, oops, Catwoman's there too. So, I guess the next issue's probably going to tell you about that.
It takes place entirely in Hong Kong as he teams up with the Batman of Japan, who comes over and makes a trip to help him out.
Nice.
So it's
awesome. Great. You get all these different characters. You get to find out, like, a lot of characters, especially if you're not reading their individual books. Say you're not a fan of, like, Teen Titans so far, or of Catwoman, you get to see... the Snyder Tinian-led group with like some all-star writers each week, tell some stories of these characters. So if you don't get those books, and without getting those books, other than like the few times they've tied into death, like Death in the Family, a lot of these characters, you think, what the fuck have they been doing in New 52? Well, now you get some updates from like a lot of people. So yeah, it's really great. And then we'll get to last book, 0 Year, issue number 31. It's the final act. Great cover this month. Not the stock beginning year 0 year cover, which those are fine, but they're also, it seems probably like give Capullo a little bit of time off. So once this is over, he's taking either an issue or two off the book to plan for the next one, just, because the motherfucker needs a break.
Yeah, because he delivers the goods.
Yeah, he delivers the goods, and one is, like, even more times than not, like every other book, you get more than, the standard kind of pages, and he has barely taken any time off, and, that's pretty awesome. So he probably needs a break. This is about 3 years ongoing of him probably drawing, like, every fucking day. So after this is over, he's taking a brief break, but great issue. You get to see some different stuff. Once again, what's going on. You get an awesome flashback to Bruce being in high school, and a professor being a dick to him, and kind of like what he does, to get back to the professor, and that kind of blends in with how he deals with the Riddler in this issue, which is really good. You see some of the people, Lucius Fox, who's been kind of a big part of this. You get to see him hanging out in here, and then a whole bunch of stuff, man. It's really good. It's another great thing, another great looking book. Like, it's also crazy that the way they've done the colors is like, this looks totally different than the rest of Batman's look so far. Because it's the Riddler, they've really given it like this pop art look for the whole book. So, I mean, it's like its own little thing, and it's just really great. Oh yeah, by the way, BT dub, won't spoil how it ends, but Batman fights a lion in it. So if you needed a reason to buy it, there's your fucking reason. But it's really awesome. It's got a couple, just 2 left, just 2 chapters left to 0 Year, so really pumped to see how, it all ends. I mean, obviously, spoilers, Batman's probably going to beat the Riddler, because this is years ago, and Batman's alive. But it's been really great, man, and a really great use of the Riddler. The Riddler, a character that is just so often made to be, second rate. I mean, take out the fact that he was in Batman, the 1966 show, and, popped up in Batman Forever. I mean, in comics, he's almost never, like, a big threat to Batman.
No.
And there's not a famous Riddler story. That's the thing. There's not...
Well, I dare say now there is.
And you get one now, so it's a great job by Snyder and Capullo and the rest of their team to write a thing that really makes the Riddler a big player in Gotham. But
awesome.
Yeah, that's it. I got comics next week. I think I got like 5.
I got 4 or 5. Like Walking Dead is back.
We got Walking Dead. I got Superman and Wonder Woman. Fatale.
Thor, God of Thunder is next week. I'm excited to see that arc end and see what they do there. It's the last issue of its big, most recent arc.
Yeah, I think it's next to last Fatale. Detective Comics is next week, so only 4 or 5, but good little week.
Yeah.
We've narrowed down our comics to where we don't really get any shit that we've just reading just because we've been reading it. So it seems like even on the weeks we get 4 or 5, they're still pretty excellent weeks.
Always a gem.
And then if we get 9 or 10, we're just overloaded with goodness. So we've got a nice healthy pull list right now.
Hell yeah.
The only threats to them are they're just making too many good books.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the difficult thing, is keeping the budget in line with the shit that's coming out.
Yeah, but so you can have enjoyable comics. If you got $100 to spend every week, or if you got 10, then you still have a good time getting your pulls.